The afternoon sun casts a warm glow over the quiet streets of Atlanta, where neighbors push strollers, kids ride their bikes, and time seems to slow down for everyone. In the middle of this peaceful scene, Marcus walks with determination. To an outsider, he might look like any other teenager, but inside, his heart pounds fast. He's got a plan that's been in the works for months. Today is the day he finally buys his little sister Jasmine the special present he's dreamt of, giving her. Every step toward Peachtree Street reminds Marcus of all the late evenings and weekends he spent bagging groceries at the corner store. The crumpled bills and coins in his pocket carry stories of skipped movie nights, lunches packed from home, and saying no to treats his friends took for granted. But Marcus never complained. This gift for Jasmine isn't just some latest craze. It's proof to himself and his family that tough times don't last forever. It's a small way to show that even here in a city where struggles can feel never-ending, hope and love can hold out. That simple present means more to Marcus than most people would ever guess. As Marcus gets closer to Golden Oak Jewelers, the fanciest shop in all of Atlanta, his footsteps slow just a little. The sleek windows glitter under the sunlight, filled with gold and silver that most people in his neighborhood only see in magazines. Marcus pulls his hoodie tighter, feeling the weight of the stares he often gets, especially in places like this. Old worries nip at the back of his mind, but he takes a deep breath and reminds himself why he's here. Jasmine's smile flashes in his memory, pushing the doubt away. He makes up his mind. Not today. Today, he isn't going to let fear decide how this story ends. Stepping inside, Marcus is immediately surrounded by cool air and the soft hum of quiet conversations. Tall glass cases show off crystal-clear diamonds and perfect pearls, the kind you almost never see up close. Men in sharp suits and women in polished dresses browse, hardly noticing Marcus slip in. He feels a bit awkward, but he keeps his eyes on the prize, the delicate silver bracelet he's seen in the shop window every week after work. All he wants is to see it on Jasmine's wrist, a real sign that good things can happen, and that all his effort means something. Nothing here, no sideways looks, no silent judgments will get in the way. Behind the counter, Mrs. Caldwell, a white woman in her 50s with neat hair and crisp clothes, keeps a close watch on Marcus from the moment he steps in. Her gaze is sharp and cool, studying every move he makes as if he might put a single finger out of place. Marcus manages a polite smile, the kind his mom taught him to use to set people at ease. But Mrs. Caldwell only nods slightly, her lips pressed tight. Suddenly, the atmosphere isn't so welcoming. There's something about the way she stands straighter, arms folded across her chest, that makes Marcus feel small, like he's out of place, even before saying a word. He recognizes this quiet suspicion. It's not the first time he's felt it. Marcus remembers what his mom always says before he leaves home: keep your head up, be polite, and don't let anyone take away your dignity. So he stands a little taller, careful not to fidget or rush, even though the air is heavy with that old familiar question. What are you doing here? His heart beats fast, but he refuses to show it. He is here for a reason, and he won't let a cold look scare him off now. When Marcus finally works up the nerve to point at the silver bracelet in the display case and says, "Could I see that one, please?" Mrs. Caldwell doesn't even try to hide the doubt in her voice. She tilts her head and asks, "Do you know how much that costs? Are you sure you're in the right place, young man?" Her words sting a little, sharper than the cold air around the jewelry cases. It feels like she's questioning not just his wallet, but his right to even stand there and ask. Marcus keeps his voice steady as he reaches into his pocket and pulls out the envelope filled with every dollar he has managed to save. He places it on the glass, pushing it gently toward her. "Yes, I do," he says, looking her straight in the eye. He hopes that seeing the cash will be enough to finally get her respect, at least for a moment. Instead, Mrs. Caldwell's eyes narrow. She glances at the envelope longer than she needs to, eyebrows raised in suspicion. "Where exactly did you get this much money, Marcus?" she asks a little too loud. Instead of earning trust, his honesty only seems to make her wariness stronger, turning a simple purchase into something that feels more like an interrogation. The air in the store feels heavier as Mrs. Caldwell continues pressing Marcus with questions, her voice growing sharper each time he answers. She sighs as if it pains her to go through with the transaction, but at last she unlocks the case and lifts the bracelet out. She sets it on the counter with a clatter, keeping her hand close, as if she is afraid Marcus might do something wrong. She loudly tells him the price, her tone making it clear she doubts he even understands how much money that really is. Her words are less about helping and more like daring him to make a mistake. Marcus tries to focus only on the bracelet, but he can feel everyone's eyes on him. The room goes quiet, even the other customers pretending to browse while secretly watching the scene unfold. He reaches out, but his hands are a little shaky. It has been months of saving, months of dreams leading up to this moment, and now the pressure is almost unbearable. Somehow, the smooth silver slips from his fingers. The bracelet drops to the floor with a metallic thud that echoes through the shop. The sound seems to freeze everything, and for a moment all the judgment around him is louder than any word Mrs. Caldwell could say. As soon as the bracelet clatters to the floor, Mrs. Caldwell snaps. Her voice rings through the store, sharp, enough that even people on the sidewalk might hear. "Stop right there! What do you think you're doing?" she shouts, not bothering to lower her voice. She accuses Marcus of trying to steal the bracelet, the words harsh and loud. Before anyone can even blink, the quiet unease in the room turns thick with open hostility. Customers who had been watching from a distance are suddenly on high alert, shifting away from Marcus in an obvious way. Some clutch their purses and step back, eyes wide with fear, even though Marcus is just standing there frozen. Marcus tries to get out a few words, explaining that it was an accident and that he only wanted to look at the bracelet. He even starts to bend down to pick it up, but Mrs. Caldwell waves her hand as if she is calling for help. The judgment in the room feels heavier than any mistake he might have made. It is clear most of the customers have already made up their minds about what happened, and nothing Marcus says or does will change how they see him. The fear spreads quickly, leaving Marcus feeling cornered and alone. Mrs. Caldwell wastes no time as she grabs the phone behind the counter and dials 911. Her voice is loud and urgent, describing Marcus to the dispatcher in a way that makes him sound much scarier than he is. She uses words that make him out to be a real threat, throwing in details about his hoodie and the cash he brought, making it sound like he must have stolen the money or was up to no good from the start. Every sentence she speaks seems to make the people in the store more nervous, her tone adding fuel to the worry already filling the room. The story Mrs. Caldwell gives has very little to do with what actually happened, but nobody questions her version. Instead, heads nod and some folks whisper to each other about how they always knew something was off. Standing there, Marcus feels an overwhelming pressure in his chest, a kind he knows too well. The sense of being invisible and powerless washes over him. He realizes that for most people in the store, it will not matter what he says or how hard he tries to explain. Their minds are made up. When the faint sound of sirens starts to drift through the air, Marcus's hope slips away, knowing things are probably only going to get worse from here. Two police officers, Officer Jackson and Officer Miller, push through the heavy glass doors of the store, their uniforms and serious faces catching everyone's attention. The room grows even quieter, and the tension jumps a notch with their arrival. Mrs. Caldwell wastes no time. She waves her hand toward Marcus, pointing right at him as if she is certain he is guilty of something terrible. "That's him," she says loudly, her voice shaky but certain, making Marcus feel more exposed than ever. The officers exchange a quick look, and right away, suspicion flashes in their eyes as they focus on Marcus. Officer Jackson steps forward first with a pair of handcuffs already out, not pausing to ask Marcus for his side of the story. He gives strict, practiced orders, his tone flat. "Hands where I can see them," he says, while Officer Miller watches just behind, her hand hovering near her radio. Marcus tries to explain, his voice tight and low, but no one seems interested in listening. Fear floods through him, mixing with a kind of deep anger he tries hard to push down. The urge to protest is strong, but he remembers what his mom always told him. So he stays perfectly still, knowing that even a small move could make things suddenly much worse. As Officer Jackson tells Marcus again, more firmly this time, to show his hands, Mrs. Caldwell ramps up her complaints. She repeats her accusations with even more certainty, throwing in bitter remarks about people like Marcus and how they never belong in places like her store. Her words are thick with bias, and the way she says them makes everyone in the store even more tense. All the eyes in the room are locked on Marcus, each glance like another little shove, as if everyone has already made up their minds just by the way he looks or stands. Meanwhile, Officer Miller, who is a bit younger and newer to the job, lingers a few steps behind her partner. She watches Marcus, noticing how calm he seems, how he isn't arguing or trying to run. There is something about the scene that doesn't add up for her. The envelope of cash on the counter, the bracelet still on the floor, and no sign that Marcus actually tried to take anything. For a second, she hesitates. Maybe she should say something, ask a question, just double-check, but Officer Jackson's tone is strict, and the hostile mood in the shop crushes any thought of speaking up. Doubt is outnumbered, and silence fills the store again. The room feels like it could burst as Marcus takes a steady breath and asks with a quiet firmness if he can call his mom. His request catches everyone off guard, even Officer Jackson, who pauses for a second and glances over at his partner. Mrs. Caldwell rolls her eyes, making a show of laughing under her breath. "Oh sure, call your mother," she mocks. "What difference is that going to make right now?" Her words hang in the air, but Marcus does not react. He just keeps looking between Officer Jackson and Officer Miller, waiting for some sign he can go ahead. Officer Miller, sensing the desperation in Marcus's voice, nods and quietly says, "It is fine, as long as she can listen in." Officer Jackson does not seem thrilled, but he does not argue. Marcus pulls out his phone with cautious hands and dials. He keeps his tone steady, but there is an urgency he cannot hide. "Mom, I need you to come to the jewelry shop on 3rd and Main. Please, it's important," he says, keeping it short but clear. The conversation is quick, and when he hangs up, the store slips back into a heavy hush. Everyone waits, listening for the next step, while the tension only builds with every passing moment. The bell above the jewelry shop's door jingles again, slicing through the uncomfortable silence. Everyone turns to see a tall woman step in, her police chief uniform crisp and clean, the badge on her chest shining under the overhead lights. There is something about the way she stands that tells you she is used to being in charge, and nobody doubts it for a second. Her eyes quickly take in the scene, noting the tight circle around Marcus, Mrs. Caldwell's defensive posture behind the counter, and the officers hovering close by. Without raising her voice, she states calmly, "I'm Chief Angela Williams, head of the Seattle Police Department, and I'm also Marcus's mother." For a moment, it is as if time stops. Everyone in the store is caught off guard, their shock written across their faces. Officer Jackson looks stunned. Officer Miller's shoulders seem to relax a little, maybe out of relief. Even Mrs. Caldwell, who had seemed so sure of herself, suddenly looks uncertain, her confidence starting to sink. Angela's presence alone shifts the power in the room. People who were ready to believe the worst of Marcus begin to realize they may not know the whole story, and the atmosphere turns from tense to uncertain in just a few seconds. Angela steps forward, her focus sharp and unwavering as she faces Officer Jackson. She does not raise her voice, but there is a seriousness in her tone that makes everyone listen. She asks why the officers moved in so quickly without stopping to check the facts or give Marcus a real chance to explain himself. Even though her words are polite, no one misses the warning in them. The message is clear that she expects real answers, not excuses. Officer Jackson glances at Marcus, then back at Angela, searching for the right words but coming up short. He stumbles through his reply, mumbling about the call they received and how the situation seemed urgent when they arrived. But it is obvious to everyone, including himself, that he did not really take the time to figure out what was happening before jumping to conclusions. The longer he talks, the more awkward the room becomes. People who were sure of themselves a few minutes ago now look uncomfortable, shifting on their feet and glancing around. Officer Miller, still new to the force, keeps her eyes down, biting her lip and wishing she had spoken up earlier. The embarrassment hangs over them, impossible to ignore as they wait for what Angela will say next. Mrs. Caldwell, realizing her grip on the situation is slipping fast, tries once again to make her case. She raises her voice and repeats her accusations about Marcus, insisting that he was about to steal the bracelet and that she had every right to call the police. But now, her words do not land like they did before. There is a shaky edge to her. Her voice and some of the confidence has drained away. She looks at Chief Williams, hoping to get support from her, but Angela's calm stare makes it clear she will not be swayed by opinions alone. Angela cuts in before Mrs. Caldwell can say anything more, asking sharply to see the security camera footage. She points out that the store has several cameras, and there is no reason for anyone in the room to guess what really happened when they could just watch the recording and know for sure. No one tries to argue against her, not even Mrs. Caldwell, whose shoulders slouch a little. In defeat, the store is silent, except for the sound of a clerk moving behind the counter to pull up the footage. The tension returns, but now it is mixed with a layer of nervous expectation as everyone waits to finally see the truth. The store manager, Mr. Johnson, who had been staying in the background during all the arguing, finally steps forward when Chief Williams asks for the footage. He fiddles with the computer for a moment, and soon enough, everyone's attention is drawn to the small monitor behind the counter. The video is clear. Marcus is standing at the display and picks up the bracelet to have a closer look. It slowly slips from his hand and falls onto the glass counter, making a soft clink. Marcus tries to steady it, but misses, then sets his own envelope of money down, looking around for someone to help. There is no sign of him trying to pocket the bracelet or hide it in his jacket. Absolutely nothing in the footage matches Mrs. Caldwell's story. When the video ends, the shop is so quiet you could hear a pin drop. No one moves. The heaviness in the air is almost too much to take. Officer Miller looks from the monitor to Marcus, relief settling on her face, but mixed with regret. Mrs. Caldwell's face goes pale as the truth settles in. Her accusations were not just wrong, but completely unfounded. She scrambles for words, but none come. Everybody who rushed to judgment now feels the weight of their mistake. Chief Williams fixes her gaze on Officer Jackson, her look intense but steady. Her words come out almost as a whisper, but every syllable stings. She asks what he plans to do next, now that the truth is out, and he knows Marcus is innocent. Officer Jackson stands frozen for a second, looking anywhere but at her. Without any real excuse left, he just nods slowly, his shoulders sagging. He seems to realize how badly he misjudged Marcus, but the apology he ought to give gets stuck somewhere, and he stays silent, refusing to meet anyone's eyes. Angela then turns to Mrs. Caldwell, her expression unchanged. She asks plainly why. Mrs. Caldwell felt so certain about Marcus's intentions and why she rushed to accuse him before checking the facts. Mrs. Caldwell tries to answer, but the words only come out as a shaky string of half-formed sentences. Whatever certainty she had is gone for good. She knows there is nothing she can say now that makes any sense. The control she once had slips away completely, and even those who agreed with her before avoid making eye contact. In that moment, it is clear for everyone there that the whole story has shifted. Angela gently leads Marcus out of the jewelry store, her hand resting on his shoulder. The two step onto the sidewalk, the afternoon sun hitting their faces, a sharp contrast to the heavy mood they have just left behind. Inside, people shuffle and murmur, each one dealing with the awkward truth of what just happened. Marcus pauses, outside, looking down at his hands. All he had wanted was to buy a nice bracelet for his sister's birthday, something small but meaningful, and instead he found himself being accused for no reason except that someone jumped to the wrong conclusion. Angela squeezes his shoulder and says softly, "Come on, let's go home." Marcus gives her a small, tired smile, grateful for her support, but still shaken. As they walk toward the car, everything feels different. He did not leave the store in handcuffs, and that is a relief, but there is no real sense of victory. Marcus is exhausted. The whole thing took a toll on him that will not go away quickly. He knows this will not be the last time he faces something like this. Even so, he stands a little taller, holding on to the lesson that standing up for yourself sometimes means facing hard truths head-on. Outside on the sidewalk, Angela turns to Marcus with a gentle voice that is very different from the one she used inside the store. She asks if he is all right, her eyes searching his face for any sign of what he is really feeling. At that moment, she is not just the police chief, she is also a mother, worried about her son in a way that goes far beyond her badge and uniform. Marcus looks away for a second, unsure of how to answer. There is some relief in knowing the truth came out, but he is still carrying anger and a sting of disappointment. He glances back at the store and catches a glimpse of Mrs. Caldwell standing near. The glass, her face pale and expressionless, watching them leave. Marcus feels a swirl of emotions. He was cleared of any wrongdoing, but the bitterness of how quickly things went wrong sticks with him much more than the relief. For every minute of unfair accusation, there is a memory that will last. Weeks, maybe longer. He does not say much. Instead, he just nods a little, letting silence speak for him. Angela senses his conflict and squeezes his hand lightly. Between them, the quiet carries comfort and understanding, and for now, that is enough. After a few more awkward moments, Mrs. Caldwell steps out of the jewelry store. She keeps her chin up and her back straight, trying to look as composed as possible, even though her hands tremble slightly as she grips her purse. The shame is clear on her face, but she will not let herself show it any more than she already has. She walks past Angela and Marcus without meeting their eyes, her lips pressed together so tightly that it looks almost painful. She does not say a word, not even an apology, just marches toward her car, her steps quick and sharp against the concrete. Marcus watches her go and feels a strange mix of emotions. A part of him wants to be angry, to shout or demand an admission of guilt, but another part can only feel sorry for someone so locked up in her own pride. It bothers him, knowing that people like Mrs. Caldwell often walk away without really learning anything. He wishes she would say something, just to acknowledge what happened, but he knows better than to expect that. In that moment, Marcus understands. that some wounds stay open longer because the world does not always demand honesty or growth from everyone involved. The police officers slowly make their way back to their patrol cars. No one speaks, and the only sound is the shuffle of their boots on the pavement. Officer Martin keeps glancing over at Marcus with an uneasy look, clearly wanting to say something, maybe an apology or just a few words to let him know he sees things differently now. But every time he opens his mouth, he changes his mind and falls quiet again. Officer Jackson lingers by the door for a moment, staring pointedly at the ground, doing everything he can to avoid meeting the eyes of Angela or Marcus. The whole group looks weighed down, each one wrestling with their own version of guilt or embarrassment. Back inside the jewelry store, people go back to browsing. The quiet hum of voices slowly returns, and a few shoppers slide glances toward the door, but then return to pretending they were never part of the drama. Cashiers start ringing up a few more sales like nothing happened. Marcus notices and feels a cold frustration. It strikes him how everyone's silence during all of this felt as cruel as being accused outright. Even when the whole mess came to nothing and the truth came out, nobody wanted to get involved or say a word. That kind of silence stays with you. It makes the world feel smaller when you need help the most. When Marcus and his mom finally get home, he tries to shake off the day, but the weight of everything that happened at the jewelry store still lingers. He walks through the door and is greeted by his younger sister, Jasmine, whose face lights up the second she sees him. Jasmine notices the small box in his hand, and, before he can say anything, she throws her arms around him, her excitement bubbling over. Marcus smiles for the first time in hours as he opens the box and shows her the silver bracelet he picked out just for her. She can hardly believe it and slips it on right away, beaming as she holds out her wrist to show their mom. Seeing Jasmine's pure happiness, Marcus feels a small sense of relief cut through everything else. Her joy in such a simple gift reminds him that little moments of love and kindness still matter, even when the world seems unfair. For just a bit, the sharp edges of the day fade away. There is no perfect ending. Marcus knows tomorrow will bring other struggles, maybe more people who judge too quickly, but tonight he does not have to bear it alone. As Jasmine's laughter fills the room, Marcus realizes hope can survive, stubborn and bright, even when things feel hard.